Good Tuesday morning. It's April 26th, 2022. You're watching Finance and Technology Insights with Brian and Eric. I'm your co-host, Eric Buhrendorf of EVERNET Consulting. With me, I have my partner in crime, Brian Williams of Northshire Consulting. How's it going, Brian?
Good. What's happening, Eric?
Same old. We just ruined our whole intro just by chatting before we were recording. But
I know.
Yeah,
we should have that as a separate recording, a pre-show roll.
Outtakes, yeah.
Before and after hours for premium subscribers or something.
Yeah. So just for the viewers, just to launch us for the day, this is Finance and Technology Insights, where Brian and I talk about finance and technology and anything in between as it satisfies us. We do have right now a Facebook page for the channel, and you can find us on YouTube as well. We don't have, do we have a custom searchable? Yes. So we're facebook.com/finance and technology insights, and YouTube has not endowed us with a shareable URL. So just find the link for the YouTube channel below.
Yep. Soon enough, they will.
There.
Yeah. So that's good. We're on all the podcast platforms, and this is episode 17. Who would have thought, huh?
Episode 17, if we're on, let me see if I can add this here. So here's our YouTube channel, and it actually looks like we've been doing this a while.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Megan, my marketing associate, does our thumbnails and any sort of organization. We got last week up a little late, but we're going to get a thumbnail in there. But yeah, it looks like we've been doing this a while. Certainly production has streamlined. We were talking before we started recording that we're gonna how we're gonna organize our production and their tools. I've been looking at some tools. Here's our Facebook page for everyone to see. Hopefully that's not sensitive information, but yes. So we were using Flipboard. In fact, if you go onto our page, you can see, follow us on Flipboard. We were using Flipboard as a news aggregator, but I haven't been using it in a couple weeks, just because I feel like the news from Facebook is actually basically the same content. So there's a news module on the Facebook mobile app, which I review, and then I can pin articles easily to our Facebook page. So I think we're kind of sunsetting the Flipboard thing. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Probably. There's a lot to update. I'd rather have good quality and good locations. Got to go where the eyeballs are, and certainly the eyeballs, for as much as Facebook and Meta is taking a little bit of a hit on the stock side and likes to get beat up a little bit, it still has a lot of eyeballs looking at it. So,
yeah. So what's new in Northshire Consulting?
Oh, business-wise, well, today's Tuesday. We did our last show on Thursday, so not as much time as we usually have. But weekend-wise, we were outside quite a bit, which was good. Last weekend, my son's daycare was closed, so we got to spend a little extra time with him. We kind of pieced it together last week, but yeah, outside all weekend. He turns 4 on Friday, party on Saturday. The unfortunate part is some of the kids will not be able to attend his birthday party because they've either have COVID or have some COVID concerns, which we certainly appreciate. So maybe we'll do like a little second party later on or something like that, maybe in May or something. But
that's unfortunate. Haven't heard of a COVID scare. I don't know what else to call it these days. Haven't heard of COVID concern, I guess, in like that in a while. So I'm sorry.
I know, and I think concern's the right word. Somebody mentioned an outbreak. That seems a little bit dramatic, or outbreak is. I mean, I guess that's technically what it was. If you've got a few kids and teachers that have it, but hey, no complaints from me. He's been healthy, his family's been healthy, so no issues there. Business wise, we've been joking around kind of back and forth offline about data and lists, and still using some old tools to kind of pull stuff together, and email marketing. And I know that's something you're working on and I'm working on. And there's nothing scarier than that send button, right? No matter whether you're MailChimp, Constant Contact, or something else, where it says, are you sure? Are you triple sure? Quadruple sure that you want to send this email to 17 billion people? Click here to continue. Certainly with my spelling and grammar, it's not the ideal platform for me, which makes me pretty nervous. But it does have the test email. So my process is usually to send a test email to myself, and then I'll in Outlook, I'll use the read it back to me feature, and I'll just kind of close my eyes and listen to them read it back to me. And that's the best proofreading I've got, I guess.
And that's not a bad idea.
No,
that's kind of clever to have it read back to you like that. I didn't even think to do that.
Yeah. Yep. So I have it sent to me in Outlook, and then I'll click the forward button as if I'm sending it to somebody, and then I'll click on the proofreading tab and read aloud, and it reads it back to me, which sometimes works. It's kind of funny once they get into sometimes the links and the HTML or whatever. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, that's my best process. I sent an email yesterday to a bunch of accountants who've obviously had a rough few months, so probably a lot of them didn't read it. But the idea there was just to talk about the state-sponsored retirement programs, what accountants need to know, what they should be doing with their business owner clients and their individual clients who might be a participant in that program. So I know a lot of accountants aren't up to speed on it because a lot of the rollouts happened here during tax season. So try to get that message out. And one of the things was what's the platform? So last time I did one of these webinar kind of things, although I hate that term now, right? Don't you hate saying webinar at this point?
It feels so 2005 or 2000.
Yeah, it does. It does. I hate that term. So information session or whatever. It's like, I don't even care about the registration. Like that was a thing, right? You wanted to capture people's emails and all that kind of stuff. It's like, just here's the link. I'm going to go live on YouTube. I'm going to go live to my Facebook page. You know what? And so although on this one I did with accountants, I still did the webinar kind of thing because I feel like maybe they're more comfortable with that. That kind of sounds like something nerdy they might be into. So we'll see what the registrations look like. I may also put it live on YouTube or Facebook, but yeah, that was my big project yesterday, is putting that email together and the anxiety that goes with it.
Nice. So just to take it from the top, you're talking about email marketing. What's your platform that you're using?
I use a platform called Sendinblue, which is very similar to like a MailChimp or Constant Contact. It does have a light CRM that goes with it where you can do some custom fields, which is nice. I think the reason I selected it at the time is that once MailChimp and Constant Contact, if I remember correctly, start to get really expensive when you have a lot of email addresses and are doing some higher volume stuff. So Sendinblue was the cheapest package. So some of the lists that I have for email marketing are pretty long, got a lot of emails on there. So price wise, I think this made sense for me, and it's been a pretty good tool. Once you create that format, it seems to be, I can easily use it again and edit it and pull in images and links, and has all the formatting that I want.
Does this cater particularly to your industry, or is this
No,
industry agnostic?
Pretty industry agnostic. Yeah.
It looks pretty cool. So does it have like a mobile app that you can monitor or start campaigns or build campaigns?
You know, it's funny. I was looking this morning to see if they had an app. It doesn't look like they do. And the only reason I would really use an app, I would never use that to construct an email or send it, but just to kind of check stats or whatever. So it's probably better that they don't have an app, because then I'd be checking it all the time. How many opens, how many reads, how many clicks,
Well, that's my next question I was tiptoeing towards. Have you gotten any stats yet on the first release?
I do. Yeah. And I could pull them up here. I think it was pretty standard. I think I was around a 25% open rate, which I think is pretty decent for just
pretty decent.
A blanket list like that. Yeah. So,
and what about your bounce rate?
So I had, so I sent it to just over 500 accountants, 110 opened, and 5 unsubscribes, which isn't that bad,
That's
which is less
great.
than a percent. So
That's
um,
wonderful.
yes, I think that was a pretty clean list. It was something I got from the state. It wasn't a purchase list or anything like that. And
Now let me
certainly
ask
not.
you,
Yeah.
we use Zoho campaigns. I don't know if I pull up a parent sheet, Zoho campaigns. Let me see if this, I am logged in, so I don't want my version. So here's a, here is, whoops. Here's the email campaign software that we use. And I find this really interesting. Now, this is these platforms are platforms from which to send mass emails,
Mhm.
and they have a duty to make sure that they're not hosting spammers.
Correct.
And when we launch a campaign, we it has to go through an approval process with
Mhm.
Zoho. Did Send in Blue do the same thing?
They have a process, I believe, when you upload contacts or when you send them, it says, is this a clean list? Is this a purchase list? Is it whatever?
Oh, no
Because
kidding.
the way those platforms work is, one bad spammer could basically ruin it for everybody, because they could get their servers somehow blacklisted and all that kind of stuff too. So I'm sure they have to be, you know, from a regulatory standpoint or whatever. But yeah, the interesting part of the Canned Spam Act and cold emails and all that kind of stuff is a lot of people think that that just sending cold emails is illegal, and it's actually not. You can do cold emails as long as you're not deceptive about your subject line, as long as you don't put your from name as Barack Obama or something like that, and as long as you give people the ability to opt out and you're adding some sort of value there. Not like 20 years ago when you get 30 emails about some sort of Viagra pill or some massive weight loss pill or something like that. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of lists out there. I wouldn't recommend anybody buy a list or just blanket cold email you know, um, yeah. And I was actually looking at this website the other day. They have a really good information on there on what violates Can Spam Act and all that. But
Yep. So
false
the
or
can
misleading header information, subject line.
Yep. So the Can Spam Act, I think, was drafted somewhere around 2003 to address unsolicited commercial email, or UCE, I believe. Do they still
Mhm.
call it UCE?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
what's good about using any of these mass email services is they cover a lot of this, in their footer, and it's required that you have your location on there, your business name, the ability to opt out. So all of those things are put in the footer so that you don't have to, and that they at least comply from that standpoint.
right. Yeah. Yeah. The email has to allow the addressee, I guess, to be
Mhm.
able to respond opt out or unsubscribe.
Right, right. What was interesting about Send and Blue, and I'm sure they probably all have this, but if you were converting platforms, so let's say you went from Mailchimp to Constant Contact, and you had 15 people who had opted out, you could take that opt out list and then re-upload that into your new one and say these are the people who've already opted out, to honor this. So let's say in theory you had a million email addresses, but 15 people opted out, you'd be able to pull that list in as well, so that you wouldn't accidentally re-email those people from another platform.
Yep. Yep. Very cool. Yeah, email
Yeah.
marketing is something that we are inching into gently. We don't. Are you using your Northshire Consulting domain name to send as, or do you have an alternate domain name?
I'm using that as the send as, yeah. So that
So
I don't
the
know how that stuff actually works more from the
So to give you some,
technology side.
yeah. So to give you the technical, there are email honeypots out there.
Mm,
A bunch of services run these email honeypots, and they will, through various mechanisms, test and sample bulk email that's circulating around the internet, and if you are sending a volume, if you're considered a spammer, these honeypots will list you on their spam registry or spam database. And email administrators for years have been using these databases to reject inbound email to their spam servers or to their email servers. This is something that we manage regularly for our clients. So, if you're doing marketing, email marketing, it's important. I mean, these I haven't had a lot of support requests from clients and about email marketing platforms like MailChimp and Sendinblue and Zoho, because I think those platforms are working really hard to make sure that they're within compliance. But it's still the spam registries are independently run, and there's a lot of them. So if you get picked up on one, fortunately, the registry does have a relatively smooth process, so that if back in the day, our clients would get their email domain listed on the spam registry if they were, infected with a virus, one of the old school viruses that wasn't about spam or anything, a ransomware. It was more like they got, got in your computer, read your email database, and just try to propagate itself by sending to all your contacts. And that was a cat and mouse game for years we were dealing with. And once you clean the virus and you could detect that outbound spam was stopped. And then we also had other tools that would prevent outbound spam from that. So, but yeah, that was back in the mid-aughts, the mid-2000s. So that's cool. Yeah, email marketing is interesting. And it's we realize that we send. So we've been sending email campaigns internally to our clients for years, but we didn't really realize that they were email marketing campaigns or inside sales campaigns. We just thought that they were service notifications.
Right.
So we were talking to our team was meeting over the past couple of weeks, and the light bulb kind of went off and goes, well, we have a management methodology that we curate, and if you become an EVERNET client and we're managing your IT function, we have this kind of best practices framework, and part of it is maintaining your digital identity, your domain, your website, maintaining your servers, your workstations, and then your software and systems and your user accounts and all those things. And so we have kind of a regimented routine when we have a lot of automation that manages our clients' systems, but every system, everything needs some prescribed recurring manual hands-on. Even if, I've said this probably I think before in a previous recording, even Home Depot at some point sends their staff out to count every nut and bolt.
Sure.
During an inventory. So, anyways, we kind of came up with a best practice schedule for these manual maintenances and things, and we've been sending emails to our clients because they're all opt-in, right? We can't dictate our clients and instigate service from us, so we have to say, like, here's our best practice, here's a reminder. Do you want this service? And we've been sending that out in the form of email for years to our clients, just not thinking that it was an inside sales email campaign. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. And I guess there is some sort of sales aspect, right? Because you're offering them new or different services, right? Or is it just kind of once they're a client and they get everything?
Once they're a client, we have, like I said, we have this prescribed best practices of system maintenances and services, but they're all elective on their part. So they can, so we used email and we used email automation to send these notices to just our active clients. And, to the points of contact or the decision maker. We call them point of contact or primary contact. So we would send these emails to the POCs and say, hey, do you want your systems maintenance this month? And if they didn't respond, there's nothing that we can do. We can't make them elect to have their systems maintained. You know what I mean? The proverbial oil change of their computer network or whatever. So in effect, it is an inside sales campaign, right?
Right.
So
yeah, and that is an interesting question that can come up as you're doing service for existing clients and providing them essential communication, or what you think is essential. And let's say a client does opt out of that. Do you feel like you almost have the ability, or should be, acting responsibly and overriding that? I mean, I think about that in my industry. It's like, all right, if I send an email to a participant, maybe they've never met me, maybe they work at a company, maybe they just started there, and maybe they unsubscribe, and it's like, no, I'm sending you essential information, like you need to update your beneficiaries or something like that. So I wondering out loud here as we have this conversation, what ability you have to kind of override that, if there's
I
a
think there's a lot of
responsibility
services out there that don't prevent you from opting out of essential communications for the nature of the relationship. And our platform isn't robust enough to not present. I mean, it is and it isn't, and it gets into a little bit of how the sausage is made, and every platform is going to be different. But let's say, you're using a marketing campaign, email marketing campaign software to send both kind of inside sales and what you described as essential communications for the nature of the relationship. And if they opt out of those essential communications, if your platform allows them to opt out of those essential communications, we have our platform does allow clients to opt out of the essential communication. Our contracts and onboarding and our agreements regularly state that if they opt out, they risk not receiving information they need that will cause them harm. So we do have a mid-year account review where we actually turn those all on. And fortunately, we kind of anybody who's opted out of essential communications, we turn them back on.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And now we also have this process where if somebody opts out of the essential communication list, we launch a ticket and call them and just say, like, it's totally your prerogative to continue to opt out of this communication, but you will not, your account will go into delinquency mode because you won't get invoices, for example. So pretty quickly, invoices, for example, are one of the essential communications. So we kind of built the system to backstop that. Eventually you don't stay a client long if you don't want essential communications. You can't have our services and not receive essential communications.
Yeah. No, good point. Yeah. All right. Business wise, what else is going on?
So let's see. For me, last week, weather was nice. We had one of our girls had a birthday party. So she went to the birthday party. It was pretty low key. Starting to see the grass grow and just putz around in the yard a little bit.
Somebody drives across it, of course, right?
Oh, God. I don't even know. Did we talk about that? I think
we did. We played the video. We talked about it.
My first TikTok. My girls are on TikTok, and they insisted I use TikTok, and my first TikTok went viral. I think it's near 3 million. It was 2.9 as of yesterday on that first video. That's funny. So so for me on the business side, we expanded our marketing team, our web team. So we have a new web resource. I am just kind of continuing to discover and explore the tools and methodologies around producing video content like this. Kind of coming down to understanding that there's really like long form content and then the shorts. At first I was poo-pooing the shorts. Did I just say poo-poo the shorts?
You did.
At first I was like, oh, the shorts as they're called, or the short, Instagram I think calls them reels. TikTok is by nature a short. YouTube calls them shorts, and I think Facebook calls them stories.
Stories is it's something a little bit different, but same concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the short videos, I was thinking to myself, what value would, I don't enjoy them personally. So I didn't think that anybody else would enjoy them. Apparently, that is kind of an important medium. So
Hmm.
I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to build a process around producing short content and long content. The long content, I think we've got sorted out. We're launching another, we're all doing this under the EVERNET.TV or EVERNET TV YouTube channel, but we're right now organizing our content by playlists, and we're not sure if that's the best way to do that or if we're actually going to have to launch separate channels. But basically, it comes down to our long form content. We're doing product and service reviews under the EVERNET Reviews banner. And then we just launched a new I don't want to call it channel, but content stream we're going to call EVERNET Roundtable,
Mm.
where I'm soliciting business owners and managers to talk about their business and what it's like to run their business in 2022, with the themes around technology and business processes and that sort of thing. So I put out a call for I think last week and this week I'm calling for law firm business owners and managers, and that's probably going to be a recurring. I'm gonna pin that as a recurring ask basically, and then maybe we'll expand into the other markets. And I have a insurance an insurance agency owner or VP coming on to talk to me, I think next Wednesday, about cybersecurity insurance, and that will.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we'll put that on EVERNET Reviews or the Roundtable. That will probably still be a reviews, but I think he wants to come back and talk a little bit more and roundtable it. So the nature of the roundtable will be more open discussion, kind of like what we're doing here.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, you got a lot of different formats, and I think that's what it comes down to is matching the different content lengths and formats with the type of, content. Obviously, to take it to the extreme, you're not going to do a deep, in-depth interview with a software provider on TikTok.
Right,
And
right.
so you try to match all that up and drive people to the right, mm, show things where people want to watch it, right? So maybe
Yeah,
you
and I
might take pieces of that and distribute it on TikTok. But
Yeah, so I think my strategy with the shorts is going to be to try to wedge some value content, and I guess that's probably trite. It goes without saying, but I'm going to try to say something very valuable
mm,
in a third. I don't think I can get it done in 15 seconds, but I think the 30-second or 60-second short, I'm going to try to say something that is helpful to my target audience, which
mhm.
is law firm business owners and managers and dental practice business owners and managers, and things like that. So I've been researching industry regulations, association regulations. Attorneys, for example, are beholden to their what they call model rules, or their rules of conduct, or their
Mm,
professional rules. And it's interesting. The attorneys, they have the American, they're members of their association, but there's the American Bar Association, which seems to be national. Then you have your state association, and then you have county associations,
right.
and then other kind of subgroups, like there's a Young Lawyers Association, and other sorts of kind of interesting niches. So
Mhm.
I think they all look at the American Bar Association for the general guidance, although they all have sovereignty unto themselves. So they use the American Bar Association as guidance or inspiration, but then they kind of adopt the language in their own respective rules. And I presume that's probably how. I mean, that's the democratization of things, I guess, right?
Right, right. Yeah, and it's amazing how many of these little industry trade groups and stuff there is around. But I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, I was looking at there's a Connecticut Landscapers Association and all this kind of stuff. It's very industry specific, but I think that's probably the one big change over the last few years or so is just we've talked about on the show before, but that the collaboration within the industry and the ability to niche and refer and not realize that everybody who has a similar business title or background is competition, right? That they could add value to your practice or refer somebody there. So I think all that's really good.
It's a good point. Our industry, the IT services industry, is just notoriously cagey, and
Hmm.
I've been working hard for a long time to kind of just be a contributor to counteracting that concept.
Hmm.
I send out connection requests to other IT business owners all the time on Facebook and LinkedIn, and it's actually nice. There are a subgroup of IT business owners that feel like I do about kind of bucking that trend. So I always say there's enough fruit on the tree for everybody.
Right. Yeah, especially in something like our businesses where it'd be impossible to get, whatever your niche is, it'd be impossible to get everybody in that niche or everybody that
Yeah, for
needs
sure.
what you're selling. I mean, it would just be impossible
And,
anyway.
and
Um,
you really do forego a peer mentorship
mhm,
and a learning opportunity. Business opportunities always stem from collaboration with colleagues
mhm,
and actors in the same space. I mean, and it happens all with every business.
right.
Mergers and acquisitions occur. Um, you know, um, a lead comes in and I just can't handle that, but there's still value to pass it forward. So it's I really wish we did have an IT owners association. I thought about even spearheading one,
Yeah,
but I'll just add that to the list of things I don't have time for
I
in a
know.
day.
I know. Yeah, I do the same thing. I was going to share a screen quick for a second here. I thought this was kind of interesting because I don't remember ever really seeing this as other people embrace, as other organizations embrace um, different social media campaigns or whatever. But this was something that came out a couple months ago, and I don't remember, like I just said, I don't remember people doing this when they launched Facebook pages or YouTube channels, but it seems like financial services industry is like they want to get out and say, "Oh, look, we're on TikTok, and we're on whatever." But so this was Empower Retirement, one of the largest financial services providers, but and then they mentioned that they're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. It's kind of funny now to see this desire by these financial services companies to put out these press releases to be like, "Oh no, we're cool too. We're there. Be sure to follow us," or whatever. Um, and
Wait, this is what that is. This is a press release saying, "Hey,
Yeah,
everybody, we're on TikTok."
yeah, and but that's the title. Empower embraces young investors on TikTok, and there's been similar, press releases from other places, but
Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I didn't think to do a press release that we're on TikTok.
yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's a whole other world too. These press release services and stuff, I think, are kind of interesting. But yeah, there's a bunch of those services where they'll let you do one or two for free before you have to buy the package. So, hey, you might as well use them.
Yeah, the
Um,
press release thing. I mean, obviously, besides trying to get picked up by the press, adds SEO value, search engine optimization value to your website.
mhm.
Just more content. That's funny.
Yeah, and they got somebody from the LPGA, the Ladies Professional Golf Association, to be a brand ambassador and all that kind of stuff. But I think that's funny now that these organizations are like, "Hey, come follow us. We're cool now," and all
Mm,
they're going to do is make the platform uncool and push all the
I
people
was
that they're
just
trying to
thinking that
reach to
too.
another platform, right?
I was just thinking. I said, as soon as I get into TikTok, it's going to become uncool.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually, to be perfectly honest, I've never been an Instagram user
Mhm.
because when it came out, I couldn't wrap my mind around the paradigm. Right? I was like, well, we can share pictures on Facebook, and that's where all my friends are. Why am I gonna go to Instagram to share pictures on Instagram
Right.
when it seemed duplicative? It seemed
Mhm.
it seemed but with my renewed marketing initiative with EVERNET, been spending a time on Instagram. Tell me if this is your experience. It's it seems easier to build a network on Instagram because when you follow somebody, it's almost like the system is friendly to, hey, I followed you, so you follow me.
Right. Yeah,
Do you
you
get
get those notifications. Here's who's following you that you haven't
right?
followed back. Um, and I think the other thing is whereas Facebook, it's a friend request, so it has to be accepted or whatever. So you could go
Right.
to, I mean, if it's public, you could go to a competitor's Instagram page and see everybody who follows them, and then
Right.
follow all those people and hope that they follow
Exactly.
you back. And, um, or even if there's a particular business association, if you're targeting attorneys, I'm sure the Connecticut Bar Association might have an Instagram, but you could be like, all right, let's see who follows them. And I'm going to follow all those people. And,
Right.
but yeah, I think it is a little bit quicker to gain a following there. To get people to like your Facebook business page is very difficult. And
That's what
Facebook's,
my next point was.
yeah, they want you to buy ads to promote that. That's why I think it's good for brands to have their page and also a group, because Facebook is really promoting the groups and the idea of communities, and they're wanting people to join groups. But just having a page, forget about it. It's going to be buried.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm brave enough to sponsor an EVERNET users group
Hmm.
yet. Twitter kind of in between the two, in a sense of trying to solicit followers, right? Would you say?
Hmm.
Just thinking
Yeah,
about
I haven't done much on Twitter, only than to share some of my. I don't know. I stress out. I get the anxiety of it. It's like, oh, I've got this one little sentence that's going to be out to the world for the whole day. It better be something of use. And it's almost like the longer you wait, the harder it gets, because it's like, all right, I've never done anything on Twitter. Here comes my first tweet, or my first tweet in a month. It
here
better
it
be good.
comes.
Whereas if you're tweeting 5 or 6 times a day, then a couple of them can be trash because it's just part of the mix. But yeah, I haven't got into Twitter too much. I'm not on there a lot anyway. There's a few people that I follow that will put stuff up there that I don't see anywhere else. But for me, I haven't really done that yet.
Will you be more inspired to join Twitter or participate in Twitter now that Elon Musk is the heir apparent?
Well, let's see. So we're at 36 minutes and 40 seconds. So we made it this far without mentioning Elon Musk. But yeah, it's I don't it doesn't change my perspective on it one way or another. I don't think.
That was my smooth segue into our news
Yeah,
section.
that was really good. I like that. We set
So
the whole thing up, a 40-minute setup to get going Elon Musk. But it'll be interesting to see what changes happen in the platform, if any. I mean, he's got a lot to spend to.
oh, you're breaking up there. And I lost Brian, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure where Mr. Bry went.
Yeah, I lost you there for a second.
Oh, there
You
you
can hear
are.
me now?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll be curious to see what kind of changes he makes to the platform, if any, and how much time he's really got to spend on it. We'll see.
Yeah. So at first, so I don't know. Was it you and I going back and forth, or maybe another group? I don't know. So it almost seems like not clever anymore that Elon will. It really seems like he does this. I don't even know if is it called a pump and dump. Is it
Yes. Yep.
where you down talk a brand publicly, and the stock starts dipping, and then all the while you're gobbling up shares, and then all of a sudden something good happens or comes out. So Elon was kind of trolling or has been trolling Twitter for the past couple of years, and then it's now revealed that or I guess a few weeks ago he reveals that he bought some major stake. What was it, like 12% or 14%?
Yeah.
um, and then it was okay. Now I'm here's my offer to buy the whole thing, and then for whatever reason the board says no thanks, but no thanks. They adopt what they call the poison pill. I don't know if you want to talk about that, to prevent him from doing a hostile takeover. And then now all of a sudden Twitter reconsiders the offer. Like, what do you think happened in that reconsideration?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I wonder if it's just other shareholders who are like, listen, he's offering this money. It's above where the market's trading. As a board, you have a responsibility to do what's best for the other shareholders. So it's hard to, if somebody's offering you a lot of money for your company, it's hard to say no. So you're starting from that aspect. I think it'll be interesting to see what sort of changes he makes to the platform. I mean, people have called for the ability to edit tweets, which seems like kind of an obvious thing. But if you post something and if you've ever made a spelling mistake or grammatical error, you have to delete the tweet and start over again.
Right.
For people with not many followers like us, who cares? But for a politician or something who may accidentally
Remember when
tweet
Trump
something
wouldn't
out.
give up the lie, and they called it the Kafifi tweet?
Yep.
That was
Remember that?
funny.
Yeah, that was a big deal. And
Trump meant
that's one of the other big questions too, is will he be allowed back on the platform?
he
So we'll see
didn't
what
miss
happens
an
there.
opportunity to catch a headline. I think when this announced that he said he was not going to return to Twitter.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think that's what
we'll
he said.
see. We'll see. I
All
think
right,
he's
let's not I guess not the sexiest news, but still we'll see what Elon does with Twitter. I thought this was interesting. On Sunday, YouTube celebrated its 17th birthday. This gentleman here, the founder and creator of YouTube, published or posted his first video in 2005. What say you?
it's hard to believe it's been 17 years, right? What year did Google buy it? I don't remember. It seems like
I think, according to this article on Digital Trends, Google bought them not much later. I think in 2006, 2007, November 2006 or 7. So he got. I mean, I could pull up the article here. Let's see if that does anything destructive or embarrassing. So. It's going to jump out at me. So for 1.65 billion, Google acquired it a year later in 2006.
Wow, that's crazy, huh?
Imagine that.
Yeah.
What are we doing wrong, Brian?
Well,
What are we
I don't
doing
know.
wrong?
Yeah, what's the next one? What's the next YouTube? What's the next big thing? The acquisitions and the mergers of some of these tech companies. I was watching some TikTok this morning, and it was about all the other companies who passed on buying Google or passed on buying Facebook, or at one point MySpace had made a bid to buy Facebook or whatever. But all these, you're listening to these under the assumption that those companies would have followed the same path, and that's not
so true.
Not likely what would have happened. They might have bought them just to kill them, right? Or they might have bought them just to have them as part of their portfolio and not really spend. None of them are ever going to grow without the passion of their founders to that level.
Apple is famous for doing that. Apple buys companies all the time and just to kill them.
Yeah, absolutely. But YouTube would not have grown to this size without Google. I think we can all. We've talked about that before. Yeah, everybody knows Google is the number one search engine, but people forget that the number two search engine is YouTube.
Right.
And I saw a TikTok this morning that was funny. That was like, I can't wait to be so rich that I don't have to go on YouTube every time something in my house breaks. But that was my, early on, that was where I would go primarily for YouTube, is like stuff around the house. It's like, how do you fix this? And the DIYers and stuff made part of what made YouTube what it is. And then once you got all the music videos involved and all that kind of stuff, it drove traffic there. But
for the first time, probably in recent memory, I mean, in 20 years, I feel like I can see not the end of Google, but the dilution of Google, or the dilution of Google's power. I mean, all this marketing that you and I talk about, and we've been doing, you just said it right there. I mean, YouTube is the number 2 search engine, still a Google property, but I mean, my God, there's, I don't even want to advertise on Google AdWords anymore because, and let's face it, this is where all the angst and drama came from over the last few years with the data collection of social networks. We can target our ads to, your interests, your demographic, your age, your geolocation, and we can just put ads in front of you, and who we want. Google AdWords, we have to wait for you to search for the thing, or search for
Right.
something. We have to
Yeah.
do kind of interpretive analysis. And I thought to myself, well, I don't even want to spend ad dollars on Google AdWords anymore. I'd rather make a visually stimulating and robust ad and just put it in front of your eyes and put it in front of exactly who I want. So just in this process, I just thought, wow, you think of Google as it's a namestay, but it's amazing how times a change.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and really every platform in its essence is an advertising platform. I mean, if you're making a funny TikTok video, you're still doing that for, some sort of monetary purpose later on. You're trying to get followers so you can eventually sell
Yeah, well,
something.
unless you're subscribing to TikTok as an end
Mhm.
user, you are the product. You
Right.
are, that's what they've long known that. And I think
Yeah.
most people are quite okay with that as long
Mhm.
as it's like cable television or broadcast television. It's like, okay, well, there's a threshold in which this is okay.
Right. Yeah. Most people have been totally fine trading their personal information and their privacy for access to a platform because none of these things really cost anything for the user.
No,
It's
not
all
really.
essentially free, dollar wise, I guess, sort of.
So, yeah. Anything else on the news that you found interesting? Elon Musk, I hate to make this all about Elon Musk, but he
I
does seem
know.
to grab the most headlines. He's launching auto insurance from Tesla in some states. Let's see. The next one I published was Inside EVs. Did kind of a thought piece on will robo taxis replace personal cars? You know what my position is on that, but I'm just trying to think. Is there anything else that we didn't? Oh, we're New England based, so we live. We're in Connecticut. Are you aware of the wind farm off of Block Island?
Yes, I have heard of it. Yep.
So this was published, I think, last week or on the 18th. The first U.S. offshore wind farm has had no negative effect on fish. Finds
Mm.
groundbreaking study. I
Okay.
thought
About the
I thought that
birds.
huh?
What about the birds?
Yeah, right. Good point. What about the birds? I don't know if it talks about that, but I thought that was an interesting article. So that wraps it up. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think that's pretty good. I know Microsoft is talking about their security business. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that, but the idea of buying security from a company like Microsoft and having it all connected, somehow that doesn't 100% feel right to me. It almost feels like I don't know, you almost need an independent third party to go around that. But I know with their earnings, they announced that they had in making $15 billion a year from their security business, up from
from their
$10 billion
security.
a year. So they're definitely growing it. But I don't know what your thoughts were on getting
Yeah. So
security.
this is really an interesting thought piece because Apple, for example, builds their products aggressively with security built in.
Hmm.
They have a nature of antivirus built in. They've got the system is locked down by default. It's really the security software for the Apple and Mac environment is really sparse, and that's because the Apple environment is so locked down to begin with. Microsoft, let's face it, Microsoft more or less built the IT industry and has a master to answer to in the IT industry. So Microsoft gives us the platforms to deploy to businesses so the businesses can be more productive, and then they facilitate an industry for us to service these platforms.
Hmm.
So my entire career for the last 17 or 20 years has been, the day Microsoft starts selling antivirus, they could just eradicate an entire industry. to the likes of McAfee and Norton and things. They have come out with an antivirus product, and they haven't knocked out that industry. So the question is, how are they not making a product more secure like Apple, which just doesn't necessarily leave room on the table for robust security software? I think that's still being shaken out. I think Microsoft is more willing to alienate the IT industry and make products that require less management from a third party. I think Microsoft is really trying to bring it in closer to the chest, so to speak. So, I've always worried for the last, like I said, my entire career, 17, 20 years, it's always been a concern, and I always monitor it closely. What next technology or process or change from Microsoft will put me out of business? And, it's to be seen. I mean, we're still supporting and managing and securing these systems, and Microsoft is selling that as a service, and we're reselling that as a service. And, it's, nothing will surprise me. Let's just say that.
Right. No, it's it's a good point. It's something interesting and pretty similar in our industry too. It's like, the idea of robo advisors, you hear that term, and pushing everything online, but all that adds to the marketplace and gives consumers more options. As long as they're educated about it and we're the ones educating them, it's probably a good thing. So
yeah, I mean, I'm of the type that, if a technology puts me out of business, then it's probably worth putting me out of business.
Right.
I'll just find some other value to bring a market. And if automation and AI puts me, prevents me from bringing any value to anybody, then I'll just go back to stand up. I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
stand up comedy.
Yeah. All right. So I'm Brian Williams from Northshire Consulting, independent advisory firm in Connecticut, working with small businesses and families. Our show is Finance and Technology Insights. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook page and group, and everywhere podcasts are heard. So hopefully as we continue to streamline our processes, we'll get those up and out to the people a little bit faster. So I feel like every week gets a little bit faster and a little bit smoother.
Yeah, we're getting it.
Yeah.
We're getting it. I'm Eric Buhrendorf, CEO of EVERNET Consulting, your favorite IT support and consulting company. You can find us at evernetco.com. Schedule a discovery call with me there, right on the bottom of the first page, and tell me what pains you, and we'll sort you out. Have a great week, everybody.